Hello everyone, this is Olga-Show for you, and we are in San Jose Convention Center where I spent a day of training with National Instrument, great company, working with a lot of other companies, collaborating and helping a lot of developers to learn more about their product and services. And guess what? They had great keynote speakers, and one of the keynote speakers is William. So you are vice president for Virgin Galactic.
That's right.
That's a very high position.
It's I like it. My title is vice president of special projects, which I like because it implies that we do something that's not special. I think all of our projects are pretty special, but it's a title that allows me to do a lot of different things, which I enjoy.
But that special project is actually the most interesting one, to create spacecrafts and available for regular people, just like we are.
Exactly, yeah. The entire purpose of our company is to open space up to many more people. So obviously we've been exploring space for many years, going back to Sputnik and to Yuri Gagarin. A lot of people have been to space, a lot of experiments have been to space, but we don't think it's been nearly enough. There are a lot more people who want to go to space than there are people who have been to space. And we want to give them all a chance to go, and to go maybe more than once, to go for fun or to go for work or to go for each of those purposes.
I bet you wanted to go
Absolutely.
to the space yourself as a little kid?
Very much. And then as I got older, I wanted to go to do science. I have a scientific background, and I, in fact, worked doing planetary science for many years. So I love the work that you can do in space, not just the idea of floating around and having fun, which seems great as well, but I love the idea of going up there and being able to collect novel data or to do experiments in a new way that has never been done before. And I got very frustrated by realizing that I was never going to be selected as a NASA astronaut. I was not going to have that chance to go, and if I did go, I wouldn't get to do whatever I want and float around and have fun as much of the time as I want. I would have a very scripted mission that I had to follow. So I get excited about the idea that someday I will be able to, and certainly my kids will be able to go and go as often as they like and go for whatever purpose they like.
So I guess you will be one of the tourists on one of your shuttles you're creating right now.
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so, yes.
All right. And you went to Harvard University.
I did.
So did you dream about it and did everything possible to accomplish your dream come true?
Yeah, definitely. You know, Harvard is a wonderful place because actually, even though I came into Harvard not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, I knew what I loved, but I didn't know how I fit into these industries. You know, I was very fortunate that Harvard is the kind of place where anything you want to do, there's probably someone who's really good at it who works at that university. So I definitely tried my hardest to take advantage of those opportunities, to meet with those professors, to find out what were the right job opportunities that might lead me to achieving the things that, yes, I've been dreaming about since I was a little boy.
And then I saw that spacecraft, which is kind of here, similar to it, were designed that these two on the side spacecraft, they fell down, or they still would be reusable?
So so we have a fully reusable suborbital vehicle, and in fact we use two vehicles on every mission. So we have a space plane that first gets carried off the ground by an aircraft. So we don't launch vertically from a pad like would happen at Baikonur or at Cape Canaveral here in the United States. We don't stand vertically and launch upwards. First we get carried to an altitude by an airplane, and then we get released from there. The airplane part just comes home like a normal airplane. The spaceship part will then rocket straight up into space. We don't go fully into orbit, but we do go officially into space. When you're on board, you'll have the chance to take off your seatbelt and to float around, experience weightlessness for several minutes. We have some big windows, so you'll be able to see the view of the Earth. You'll be able to see the blackness of sky. You'll see the curvature of the planet, see the thinness of the atmosphere. And then you come back down, and you're back on the ground, an hour or 2 hours after you've taken off. And the vehicle is 100% reusable, except for the fuel source, obviously.
Well, you describe such wonderful pictures. Should we take our own camera, or we will have a camera crew?
We're going to have lots of cameras on board. We want you to be fully in the moment and appreciating what you're seeing and not fiddling with the settings on your camera. So we're going to have some great camera systems on board that will get photographs of you floating and videos of you, but also we'll be taking videos of the outside. What we're also going to do is we're going to train you ahead of time. So if there's a particular thing that you want to see out of the window, if you want to see what the Grand Canyon looks like from space, or if you live near where the spaceport is and you want to be able to see your house or where you grew up, we'll be helping you figure out how to orient yourself so you can know which window to look out of at what time.
So from the time people get into the spacecraft, it will and to go to the space and coming back will take approximately an hour.
It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours, yes, the total mission time.
And then when they coming back, they come in the same spacecraft and just like airplane, right, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the very unique things about our design is the way that we re-enter the atmosphere. You know, in human spaceflight, obviously getting up off the surface of the Earth is a big challenge. It requires a lot of energy. But coming back down safely requires that you shed as much energy. You know, it's a conservation of energy. You have to get rid of it in a very safe way. And that's a big challenge in spaceflight. We've come up with a particularly unique way to solve that, which is by building a vehicle that has wings and allows it to glide in like the space shuttle or like the Buran did, but also at certain phases in the flight can actually fold up those wings and re-enter much more like a capsule, much like the Soyuz does or the Chinese Shenzhou vehicle does. So we can fold up those wings, we can do the initial re-entry of the atmosphere as effectively a capsule when the air is still too thin for us to be using our wings to control the vehicle. It allows us to very safely come in and to spread the heat of re-entry around the vehicle. And then when we get lower in the atmosphere, we can fold those wings back down and fly home as a glider, as an airplane.
And where those flights will take place from?
We're doing the testing of our vehicle in a town called Mojave in Southern California. And then our commercial flights will happen at a facility called Spaceport America, which is located in the state of New Mexico, about 2 hours west of El Paso, Texas.
And then, even so, your program started from 2005, and it's about 7 years, 8 years. Soon is coming your first flight with humans, and not just anyone. That would be
with Sir Richard, yeah, Richard Branson.
Richard with
is our
his
first customer,
family.
definitely.
And that's kind of interesting, and I know it's probably nerve-breaking for a lot of people, and at the same time fun, because he is the one who had an idea, and he would be the first one to have his dream come true.
Definitely, yeah. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if not for Richard's vision and the fact that he was not only willing to talk about doing it, but actually willing to put his own money towards it and fund it. And he's very much looking to flying. His children are flying with him on our first flight, so they're very much looking forward to it. It's a big part of everything they do, and all the businesses are sort of building up to these peak adventurous enterprises that he gets to do. But also, you know, every single test flight of ours has humans on board. Our vehicle is flown by human pilots, so we've already been flying with people on board, just not all the way to space yet, and their staff rather than customers. So just a few months ago, we became the first sort of commercially destined vehicle to break the speed of sound since the Concorde did it, several decades ago. So that was another big milestone that we've successfully completed, and now we're on pace to be flying into space sometime fairly early in the next year, and then to be doing that flight with Richard on board sometime later in the next year.
I think it's probably much easier for Richard to be in the airplane industry, to have this spacecraft idea live, because he already has experience of flying moments, not maybe into the space yet, but at least flying from cities to cities.
Definitely, and Richard also, in addition to his businesses like Virgin Atlantic and Virgin America, Virgin Australia, he also has train companies, so he's done a number of transportation fields. But he also personally has been supportive, and in fact has been the pilot of a lot of record-breaking aviation endeavors. He was trying for many years to be the first person to go around the world in a balloon. He didn't end up being the first person to do it, but he did a lot of wonderful things there. And then also through Virgin Atlantic, he sponsored a plane called the Global Flyer, which was the first airplane with a single pilot to fly around the world without refueling, without stopping. So he's definitely been involved in this. He sees himself as a pioneer of aviation. He does these things because he enjoys them and because they're a lot of fun, but also he sees them as a way to advance the forefront of technology and to demonstrate technologies that maybe that Global Flyer, you're never going to be able to buy a ticket on that specific vehicle. But a lot of the techniques and the technologies that they use to accomplish such a goal are things that he can feed back into the aviation companies to make the planes fly more efficiently, to lower prices, to improve their environmental footprint, which are all things that certainly are very important to him.
So I just had an idea. It would be nice to live that space lab you have and flight into the space, and perhaps me ending up in Moscow or Paris or London.
Yes.
So two things at once.
We definitely want to do that. That's still a bit out in the future. It wouldn't happen with our current design, but it's certainly something that we are thinking about, and it's something that Richard definitely wants to do. You know, Richard, there are some 400 companies that operate with the Virgin name. Richard's very active in almost all of them, so he spends a lot of his time on airplanes. He's flying essentially constantly. And if the airplanes were moving 20 times faster, he wouldn't have to spend as much of his time flying. So I think if we were able to do a Los Angeles to Moscow flight in 45 minutes, which is technically possible if you're going to flight, there'd be a lot of people who'd be really excited about that. So it will take us a while to get there, but certainly that is a place where we would like to go.
And I know that the prices is still high, but it's not over $20 million. It's only $250,000 per person. We have about over 600 people already signed in. You're planning first flight this time. You don't have a particular schedule yet of everyone to get in. Definitely would be interested to know if the prices will go down eventually and more flights because of the turnaround of usability. Usability, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we design these vehicles with the idea really of opening up space to as many people as possible. Now, space is difficult, so it's never going to be the same price as a domestic flight from one city to another. It is going to be on a normal airplane, but we can make it, we've already made it, 99% cheaper than the next thing on the market, and we have the ability to bring it down much lower than that because the cost of our vehicle, of any given flight of our vehicle, is much like every other space vehicle ever built, is really driven by the people who took the time to build it and design it and operate it. And because of the design of our vehicle, because it's so reusable, and because it's been built in a way that we can fly it so frequently, it just means that the cost of an additional flight after you've already done one is really not that much. So that once we've paid back our initial investment and kept Richard and our other investors happy, we can start bringing the prices down to the point where more and more people can afford them. But we've already, as you said, we've already got more than 650 people who have paid their money or are waiting for their flight to space. For reference, only 542 people have ever been to space. So we're already on pace to double that. We've already, I think, had a big impact, and it's just going to continue to grow as we fly more frequently and bring prices down.
And as I learned from you that you have children flying from 11 years old signing and people who are like 90 years old. So that's a big range. Is it like much easier to fly these days on the spacecraft?
Yes, we've tried to design it so that from a medical perspective, from a physical perspective, almost anyone is capable of flying on these vehicles. We do have, as an example, one of our customers who's now in his 90s who has been medically cleared to fly. It will be, it's an exciting ride. You will get to feel that acceleration. You're going to be going about 3.5 times the speed of sound, so certainly you will be able to tell that you're on a vehicle and not in an elevator. But we did want everyone to be able to experience this thing. Going to space is a life-changing experience. If you talk to a cosmonaut or an astronaut, just seeing that view out of the window and floating around does fundamentally change how people think about everything. And we want that experience to be open to as many people as possible.
And you said something about 6G. Is that the highest you can feel on the...
Yeah, it'll be something on that order of magnitude. So you'll certainly feel an acceleration more than you do on a roller coaster, but not so much for so long that it will become really uncomfortable or dangerous to your health. So you'll feel, it'll feel fun. It'll feel like the way the sports car feels, but more so.
I have a lot of taken interviews of geeky guys here in Silicon Valley, and what I found out, the trend that they live so much with their computers that they basically spend almost every day, if not and nights, virtual life. They're really into wherever higher G level is, 7 and above, and have all kinds of interesting ideas. I wouldn't be surprised that you will have more geeky guys wanting to fly.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk to our current customers, different people are looking forward to different aspects about the flight. Some people are really looking to the very peaceful experience of floating and weightlessness not having any acceleration or any force that we perceive as gravity on your body, although obviously you're still experiencing accelerations. That's a very, very calming and peaceful environment. Other people really want that sense of acceleration and the noise and the vibration that goes along with it. So the nice thing is that you get each of those on a flight, and you get to experience them for long enough to be really meaningful.
Okay, and of course, I would like to find out from your perspective, what would you wish our listeners and viewers, what you want them to believe and
I think the most important thing to realize about the space industry today is that because of things like what we're doing, but additionally because of a lot of other programs, it's becoming easier and easier for everyone to get involved in space today. Whereas space used to be constrained to a very small number of people from certain space agencies, now you have the ability to build your own experiments, to fly those to space. When you're a small company or maybe even a classroom, you can be active in space right now. There are things you can do at home on your computer without spending any money, where you can be contributing to space science. So I think this is a really exciting moment in the history where we're about to have this big increase in the number of people who are contributing and being involved in a very active and personal level.
And I know that over 100 jobs openings you have.
100 job openings at our company alone. So you can check us out on the web at virgingalactic.com. You can go to any of our social media platforms and find out more, see some cool videos, and find our job openings.
And that was William Pomerantz with Olga-Show in San Jose. And thank you for listening, and see you next. Thank you.
Thank you.